Diastole, right. So if I ask, during the P wave, what's going on with the atria? You have to know that. What's going on with the ventricles?
Okay, the ventricles are contracting.
I don't know.
The atrial or the systole?
Contracting. The ventricles are relaxing.
Right, so go and write that on. Atria. Good. So the AV valves are, during the P wave, the AV valves are?
They are open.
Yes. Because, yes.
Oh, like.
You want to switch it?
But AV valves open. There you go. Good. So it's P wave.
Okay, that makes
Cool.
sense. That does make sense.
All right, now QRS wave. What's going on with QRS wave?
The ventricles, this is ventricle depolarization.
Right.
And
And,
it's
and so what starts right, pretty much right here in the middle of the wave is ventricle,
contraction.
right,
Ventricle systole.
right, ventricle system.
And it's so much bigger because the ventricles are bigger.
Right, there's so much more myocardium contracting that the signal changes really big. Was your back hurt?
Yeah, I don't know.
Pull that chair up.
I'm an old.
You're welcome to sit down.
Can't stand.
All right. Also, during the QRS wave, what's happening to the atria?
The atrias would be is systole. I mean diastole.
Right. So the atria is repolarizing. You don't see it. I mean, you can see
Okay.
a little bump, if all this wasn't in the way. This
Okay.
masks it, right? So the atria are in start diastole right there.
So in the P wave, is that what kind of polarization is that?
The atria.
It's the atrial polarization.
Depolarization.
Depolarization.
Depolarization. Right. You know what that means?
Means it's contracting.
It means it's, yeah, it's getting ready to contract. Remember,
It's getting less negative.
yes, the interior of the cell is getting less negative compared to the exterior of the cell. Does that sound familiar?
It does.
A long time ago.
It's been a little while, yeah. But that's the same. You remember the principle?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good. So the ventricle is, you get atrial repolarization there, diastole. Good. So what's happening? What else did I say during the stage? Yeah, what happens to the AV valves during the QRS wave?
They are closing
Right.
so that it doesn't leak back into the atria.
Good. What do the semilunar valves do?
Oh wow, they are opening
Yes.
because it has to leave and go to the lungs.
Right. So the blood is pushing those valves open.
Okay.
Sinuses or is it?
You see how it's the best way to study this is not to have to memorize it, but to understand how
Yeah.
this works. Then you don't have to memorize it. You can sit there in a few seconds,
figure it out,
figure
yeah.
it out. Right. That's the best way to do it.
Okay.
Cool. Even if you have to memorize maybe a couple key features, that sort of gives you, your bearings.
Does the
Gives
T
you a
wave
guardrail.
come after?
Do what?
The T wave? Does it come after? I missed this part of the.
That's right.
class.
Does what come after the T wave?
Where is the T wave?
It's a little plateau guy, right?
Right there. That's the T wave. She just didn't label it.
The little mountain looking thing?
Yep, that
Okay.
one.
Oh, that. Okay.
That's the T wave. All right. Okay. Yeah. So what's going on in the T wave?
Yeah, because it
Maybe,
Why do you have that little bump?
Maybe it is the ventricles repolarized.
It is.
Is it?
It is. It's when the ventricles repolarize.
Okay, what exactly is repolarizing?
Yep. Good.
Because on one of the homeworks, I kept misunderstanding what was what and what there.
Okay. Yeah, repolarize, depolarize. You get it. A repolarizing means, remember you start more negative, I pick negative 65, negative 70, whatever. The inside of the cell at rest of a muscle cell, like a neuron, is more negative than the outside. Does that sound familiar? When it's stimulated, ions change. Ions come in, sodium, do you remember all that idea? So this goes from negative 65 and it changes like positive 30 or something millivolts inside compared to the outside. Does that sound familiar?
Did you say negative 30?
No, it moves up to positive. Yeah, more or less. And I didn't get real specific on these numbers on this test. That's not going to be. I'm not going to worry about the specific numbers. So in order to contract again, you got to get this back to the negative. And so there's those ion pumps in the membrane, sodium potassium pumps that pump sodium out. And, does that sound familiar? So repolarizing is the process of getting this back to a negative.
So it can contract.
Right.
Okay.
And all that change in electrical activity you can scope. That's what that does.
Okay.
It's an electrocardiogram. It measures electrical changes.
And atrial repolarization is like when ventricular systole is happening, so you can't see it on the graph.
Right. Yeah, atrial repolarization happens. It would be a little bump in here, but it's in the middle of all that, so it's just too much noise to see it. Right. Is that helping, Leah?
It is helping.
Good. So I could ask you this: what's happening during the QRS wave when the atria start diastole? Ventricles are contracting. Are the atria? I'll figure out some better way to ask this. Are the atria losing blood, filling with blood during the QRS wave? What's happening to the blood in the atria?
They're filling with blood.
Oh, they're filling with
They're filling with blood.
Because they're relaxing, so it's allowing it to come in.
Right, the atria are relaxing, the AV valves are closed because the ventricles are contracting. Make sense? And so the atria are starting to refill with blood again from the vena cava coming in there. When the ventricles hit diastole, which is right around here, right here from the T wave sort of on, the ventricles are in diastole. Now they're both in diastole, and so the ventricles are starting to refill up because the AV valves have opened back up, and it starts all over again.
So basically, when they're relaxed is when the blood can come in.
Yes.
'Cause I think I missed that.
Yes.
I think I'm confused because when I think of ventricle, when I think of this,
Mhm.
I think of the blood being pushed to the lungs, and so I think all the blood's there, and there's no blood there, but it just
When
is flowing.
Yeah, blood is constantly coming into the atria.
Okay.
It's just a constant flow from the
Mhm.
vena cava over here and the pulmonary veins here.
Okay. So when it's relaxed, the blood's just kind of chilling there.
Right. And some of it just drains on through. Like 70%, I think I mentioned, about 70% of the blood goes through the atria to the ventricles without the atria needing to contract. It only squeezes about the last third of the blood into the ventricle when it contracts.
And honestly, all this happens pretty quickly, right? 'Cause it's
Yeah.